If you're paying any attention to the South Florida real estate market right now, at the start of 2026, you are probably scratching your head. The headlines are all over the place, and honestly, they seem to be telling two completely different stories, leaving buyers and sellers totally confused. So let's untangle this whole thing.
Right? I mean, look at this. On one side, you see headlines screaming that median home prices have dropped by almost 5%. But then, in the very next article, you read that 2025 was the fourth best year for home sales ever recorded. How is that even possible? How can prices be falling while sales are going through the roof?
So, what's the deal? Is the market crashing, or is it booming? It feels like it has to be one or the other. We're going to break down the data and show you exactly what's going on. And I'll tell you right now, the answer is probably not what you're expecting.
The truth is, it's neither. The market isn't crashing, but it's not booming in that crazy, out-of-control way it was a couple of years ago. Instead, what Southwest Florida is experiencing is something our source material calls the 2026 reset.
So, what on earth is the 2026 reset? Well, think of it as a much-needed course correction. After years of absolutely white-hot, unsustainable growth, the market is finally taking a breath and settling back into a more normal, balanced state. This isn't a collapse, it's a healthy adjustment.
I think this quote from our source just nails it. The market didn't fall apart. It simply reset to a more sustainable pace. It's all about finding a healthier rhythm, one that actually works for both buyers and sellers.
Okay, so that's a nice theory, but talk is cheap, right? Let's actually dig into the numbers that tell the real story here. This is the data that proves this reset theory and explains that paradox we started with.
It all starts with this number, that 4.9% drop. This brought the median home price down to about $385,000. Now, I know a price drop sounds scary, but this was actually the key. This small adjustment was exactly what was needed to unlock the door for a ton of buyers who had been completely priced out.
And that newfound affordability? It led directly to this. Over 14,000 single-family homes were sold in Lee County just last year. That huge number of sales was only possible because prices came down a bit, creating real value that buyers could jump on.
And just to put that into perspective, 2025 wasn't just a good year. It was one of the strongest years on record, right behind those peak frenzy years. So this is clearly not a market that's in trouble. It's a market with an incredible amount of activity. And get this, the total dollar volume was a staggering $7.5 billion. That made it the fifth best year ever. Sure, it's down a tiny bit from the absolute peak, but that's only because the average price per home was a little lower. The sheer number of deals getting done was still just massive.
And here is maybe the most important number of all. We now have about 6.8 months of housing supply. So what does that mean? Well, if not a single new home got listed for sale, it would take almost 7 months to sell everything that's currently on the market. In the real estate world, 6 months is the magic number. It's considered a perfectly balanced market where neither buyers nor sellers have the upper hand. We've officially shifted from a frantic seller's market to a healthy, stable equilibrium.
Okay, so we've covered the what and the why of this market reset. Now, for the really important part. What do you do about it? Because in this new, balanced market, the old strategies that worked during the boom years, they're just not going to cut it anymore. Succeeding in 2026 is all about having the right game plan.
Let's start with sellers. If you're thinking about putting your home on the market, you really need to listen up. The game has changed. You can't just stick a sign in the yard and expect a bidding war. Now it's all about precision. For sellers, success really comes down to 3 things. 1, pricing. You have to be strategic and position your home as the absolute best value on the market from day one. 2, condition. It's got to be perfect. Buyers today are skipping the project homes, so you have to fix any issues before you list, especially anything related to insurance, like an older roof. And 3, marketing. You need a real plan that goes way beyond just pretty pictures to digitally target the exact right buyers for your home.
All right, now for the buyers. And let me tell you, the news is fantastic. After years of having almost no power, you've got choices again. And more importantly, you've got leverage. The trick is knowing how to use it.
Here's how you can win in this market. First, strengthen your offer. And I don't just mean price. A clean, simple offer with a rock-solid pre-approval from a good local lender can often beat a higher price but more complicated one. Second, negotiate beyond the price. Think about asking for seller credits to help with your closing costs, or maybe more flexible inspection timelines. And third, and this is so important, rely on deep local knowledge. Those online estimates can't tell you about a tricky HOA or how much flood insurance will really cost. Only a local expert can.
So, as we wrap this up, it's pretty clear that this 2026 reset isn't something to be afraid of. It's actually a landscape full of opportunity. For people who get these new rules and have the right strategy, this is an amazing moment to make a really smart move.
I want to leave you with this powerful idea about long-term thinking. The source material points out that wealthy real estate investors almost never regret buying at what seemed like the wrong time. You know what their biggest regret is? It's not buying more property over the long haul. That's a huge mental shift, right? It's not about timing the market, it's about time in the market.
And really, that brings us to the final takeaway. In a balanced, reset market like the one we're in today, the most important question isn't when you should act, it's how you should act. Now more than ever, your strategy is everything.